Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Can everyone hear me loud and clear? I think I may have had just a bit of a technical issue there with my mic, and I just want to make sure I'm coming through loud and clear so I'm not talking into the air while people start coming in. I'm not really getting any info in either on just how many people are here or if the stream is working. So please let me know in the chat if you can hear me and everything is okay. Let me just try and get something up here that might give me a bit more insight into what's going on. See if I can't see myself playing live through YouTube itself. Hopefully this should give me some more insight. Just turn that up and let me just check this quickly. It says I'm live, that's good. I got 41 watching there. We'll just pause that quickly before an advert starts blaring out. Oh no, it doesn't want to work for me, great. I'm getting heard, yes. Hi from Jeffrey, excellent. Right, so it's coming through. This isn't all just going off into the ether. Fantastic, fantastic. Always a technical issue. No matter what I do, something always goes wrong. But it's coming through loud and clear. Right, guys, excellent. Right, well, thanks for being here. I actually was supposed to do tonight a podcast, but I think the person who arranged it like 2 months ago has forgotten. And they never responded to my messages. So be it. I figured, you know what, I'll just do my own live show. Why not? I was planning to do something tonight anyway, so I'll just do a random, off the cuff, live Q&A. I have a lot of new subscribers lately. I'm getting about 5,000 a month, maybe more, give or take. A lot of people coming in for the Millennial Reign, Millennial Kingdom information, not just the clown information, which I am predominantly known for. So I figured these live Q&As are probably good to keep up, just so if any new subscribers want to ask me any questions about what I believe about certain things, any theories or ideas they want to share with me or get my thoughts on, this is the best way to do it, really, in the moment, off the cuff, just a bit of fun. Please keep it clean in the chat. I do have my moderators who will be sweeping through and removing anything completely unnecessary and vulgar or anything like that. As is the nature when channels get big, you get some bad characters slipping through and some bad actors. So, but guys, keep it clean, keep it cool, and yeah, we'll have a good conversation. Absolutely. But yeah, I was supposed to do this podcast tonight. I think they wanted to do a bit of a testimony about coming to Christ and truthers who have also come to Christ. It seems to be like his focal point for his channel, from what I'm guessing. I think he used to be on a Finnish podcast with a couple of other people, and he's broken off to do his own podcast about testimonies. So yeah, that hasn't happened. Maybe we'll rearrange it. Maybe I'll get in touch with him. I know he's a very busy guy who's just started a university course again, gone back to school, so maybe that's filled most of his time and mind. It wouldn't surprise me. I know it can be quite demanding. NK Ryan, good to see you. Thanks for being here. But yeah, guys, if you didn't know as well, I've just recently actually, I'll share my screen so you guys can see what's going on. We'll open that. There we go. So I was just recently on Insta. Let's open Instagram. And JT follows JC, who has his Decoding Babylon um, series. I was on his podcast a few months ago, and he basically tagged me in this. I don't know if the sound's coming through. Let me just check on my headphones. But yeah, anyway, I don't think any sound's coming through. Sorry, guys, I forgot to put my headphone in, so it's not been quite good. There we go. Yeah, I don't think the sound's coming through on this, which is fine. But basically, he tagged me in this, and it's me talking about the danger of wearing masks. Basically, it's all about my clown research. So I was on his podcast doing a talk about the clowns, and this has just popped off. Like seriously, 1,632 likes on there. I think the views are just as high. But then he told me, oh yeah, on it's gone viral on TikTok. I was like, what? The message is here. Uh, what did he say? Let me just quickly get this up. Brilliant. Hope it's brought no subs to you. Yeah, on this one on TikTok, I'll have to look at it now. I don't know what it's at, but this one
The
just
whole Joker
blew up.
connection
Like
in the
it's gone
movies
crazy.
now. Obviously, a lot of
Oh
people had
god,
seen all the
decline with
Batman
them. I don't want all
movies.
that
You know,
crap.
like Jack Nicholson played him
Continuous
in
guess,
'89, and
whatever.
then you
There we go. Let's open this up. And where is it? Where is it? The recent one. Yeah, 264.4 thousand views. Wow. Yeah, that's doubled for when I last saw it. But yeah, this one has really done well. So I'm assuming maybe I've got some extra subscribers from this. Perhaps maybe it's finally come full circle and some of my new subscribers are actually because of the clown research, which I'm predominantly known for, not just the Millennial Kingdom stuff. But who knows? Who knows? I'll let a slideshow just go off in the background now while I'm talking about Millennial Kingdom stuff. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed talking with the guys over at Decoding Babylon. And they've just released that talk now in 2 parts over the past couple of days, and it seems to have done really well. I am still working heavily on the Nephilim Look Like Clown book right now. I'm writing every Monday, Tuesday mornings, um, and it's flying a little bit. I've just been working on a chapter on the secret societies and their involvement with the circus, the history of clowns, and of course the Shriners and the Royal Order of the Jesters as well. And I've literally just finished that chapter. I finished rounding off all the information necessary because I could go on forever, but I have to cut down the information just to get the point home. But I included all the necessary information to show that the Royal Order of the Jesters, which is a step above shrining, um, is a disgusting, horrible society full of the worst types of people. So I've just finished off that little subheading within the larger chapter. I think I do need to go back to the start of that chapter and just finish off the first subheading, just to nicely round off the the concept that secret societies are linked explicitly with Gnostic Kabbalah Luciferianism. Okay, I know that's a lot of words which people would say would contradict each other, but that's the nature of mystery wisdom schools. They're an amalgam of different schools of thought mashed together, aren't they? So hopefully I should have some videos I can make soon and maybe some extra talking points in future podcast visits now based along those lines. It's been a research heavy chapter. I'm not going to lie. I'm reading a lot of books and getting a lot of quotes, getting a lot of references, and compiling a cohesive narrative on that particular topic. But I've also on the sides, I've been writing. I've skipped forward to like chapter 26 or something, like 10 chapters ahead. Um, and I'm writing out also the chapter on serial killers and clowns, and how a lot of serial killers and people seem to dress like clowns while murdering people. It's actually quite a common occurrence. Um, so I'm also writing that one currently as well. And once that's fully rounded off and I'm happy with where it is, I'll make a video on that one too. Because I figured what I do, you see, I always write these scripts for each video which focuses on a particular thing, and I write the script specifically just for the video. So there's no like, I'm not like referencing anything. It's not something I could necessarily use in the book, if you get what I mean. It's not written. It's written to be said on a video. It's not written to be read in a book. If you can get what I mean by that. And so I figured, why don't I just do it the other way around? Why don't I write the chapter in my book specifically about that subject and then read the chapter for the video, and so I can kill two birds with one stone rather than having to make the video and then rewrite the whole thing as a chapter in the book after the fact. You know what I mean? So I'm trying that out. So the Nephilim clown content, yes, is going to slow down, but I do think what you're going to get as a result is more higher quality content when it does come out, more well thoroughly researched and reference backed up research. Not that what I haven't already done it isn't backed up and you can't go find it for yourself, but this is more if you want the sources, I can literally give them to you, hyperlink and all, So I guess that's the point. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. It's like Vibes has just posted in the chat there the GoFundMe for the Nephilim Look Like Clowns book, where you can pre-order a copy for £100 or more. That's about $125 roughly, give or take, depending on the interest rates these days and the conversion rates. But if you do that, it'll be a free signed copy of the book once published, sent to you by myself. I have been collecting people's mailing addresses who are on the £100 or more list. and I've collected half of the addresses needed so far. So if you're on that list and you haven't sent me your address yet, please email that to me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and I'll add it to my big long list of names, and I'll add it to your name. So just when the time comes, I don't have too much to chase up, and it just makes it a bit more fluid when that time actually comes, hopefully. But yeah, it's trucking along nicely. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have a book ready for all of you. And if no one wants to publish it for me, I'll publish it myself. Why not? Eh? Why not? I'll do it through Amazon. Anyone can publish a book these days. It turns out it's a lot easier than it used to be. But the support for that has been overwhelming. I think I'm currently on like 58 pre-orders. Um, and it's getting to the point now where I'm thinking I might have to cap the pre-orders. I might have to cut it off at 70 or something, or maybe once I reach 10,000 pounds donations, maybe no more pre-orders from there or something like that, because it's getting it's going to be a monumental task to get them all out to people to all over the world when it actually comes to it, otherwise. I don't know though. I don't know. Maybe it'll be easier than I think, because I just bulk buy all the books and they'll come in one huge box, I imagine, and then it's just enveloping them all. Yeah, writing all the addresses out on each envelope, finding a courier who can bulk send them all off for me. The prices are going to vary wildly depending on where I'm sending them, because people have ordered from all over the world. From America to Europe to Africa to the Middle East, all the way to into Russia, all the way across. And honestly, it's quite ridiculous, the spread, the actual spread of people who have ordered this book. And I have no idea what the costs for all these wild postages are going to cost. For those who have ordered from England, it'll cost me about £3. Not a big deal. But if I'm delivering it to, I don't know, Australia, that's probably going to cost me up to £30, I imagine, to get that overseas. We'll see, though. I mean, I've got the money. The money's been saved that people have donated specifically for this anyway. So it's not like the money isn't there to do it. It's not, the money isn't the issue for the postage. I think it's just going to be the complications and the logistics of sending so many books in volumes to different addresses. I might have to block them up into countries and send each of them out to me. You know what I mean? I have to figure all that out. But this is why I'm thinking, okay, maybe I start to cap the pre-orders, or cancel and stop pre-orders eventually. I don't, but I'm not sure about that yet, guys. I'm not 100%. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. But it's just something I've been thinking about doing, just to be sure. To be honest, just to make my life a little bit easier. But yeah, it's I'm enjoying writing the book. There'll be more content. Like I said, a recent podcast was just released. Coming up, I am pretty booked up actually for the next few weekends. Tomorrow, I have Vicky Joy Anderson will be joining me for my Truth or Therapy sessions. And yeah, she's going to be talking with us about the rise of AI and technologies and pills and medicines and all sorts of things which are helping people connect to the spirit realm without the need for drugs anymore, which is quite interesting. So I think that's going to be a great talk. Back to old school topics, talking about the Nephilim, demons, the spiritual warfare aspect of things. So I'm looking forward to that talk tomorrow with Vicky. It should be a good one, and hopefully you guys can enjoy that too. I'll get that set up so you know what time it is, but it's going to be 8 p.m. UK time as usual. So I've got Vicky Joy Anderson joining me tomorrow. Who else have I got joining me? I've got I am on a podcast called Earnestly Content podcast on next Saturday. And then I've got David from the Raven podcast from the Nephilim Death Squad. He's joining me next Sunday, which should be good. On the 24th, I am. Who am I with? I says I'm just on podcast on here, but I'm sure I've written the name down on my actual calendar. But I'm on the Bump podcast on Sunday. He's going to join me on mine. Bo from the Bump. That should be cool. George Hobbs is joining me the Sunday after that on the 3rd. George Hobbs, what's it called? I forgot the name of his podcast, but it's quite a big one. If you know who George Hobbs is, you know who George Hobbs is. Anyway, he'll be joining me on my podcast into the next month. Yeah, it's quite booked up. I'm quite happy with the response. I've been sending the feelers out and people have wanted to join me. I've got Amy from Eyes on the Right podcast in March. She'll be joining me on the 17th of March. That should be cool. And on the 24th, I'm booked in with the CFR network as well. So yeah, I've got quite a lot coming up. Some extra guests coming on here. Tony from God Rules has got in touch with me. He emailed me today. I don't know if you guys know who Tony is. He's been in the game for a long time. Tony Woodcock, and he runs a channel called God Rules and a channel called Sons of Thunder. I used to connect with him back in the day before I got kicked out before 2017. I think the last time I talked to him, it was about the Las Vegas shootings. We did a whole talk about that, a whole truth or therapy session. Actually, I think you can find it on my channel still if you go looking. But he got back in touch, and he wants me to come onto his podcast to talk about the millennial reign. He says this idea has blown his mind, and he's really heavily seeing the merits in it. He says, and he finds it fascinating, and he thinks we should talk about it on his podcast and just do all the introductory stuff. So that should be good. I'm going to be representing the Millennial Kingdom stuff on a big podcast. I think he has like 300,000 subscribers or something. So I'm gonna have to get my research together for that one. Print a few pages off ready and bring the receipts. You know what I'm saying? And just give a good all round overview of the general theory and what it pertains and why people believe that it's true. So I think that should be good. That should be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Yeah, that should be good fun. Me and him used to communicate all the time back in the day, and it's great to reconnect with old friends, especially in the truther conspiracy world. So yeah, should be good fun. And Noel Hadley did message me about 6 days ago asking for a time, but I was on holiday at the time and his email got buried under many other emails as well. So I'm still trying to figure out a day to get the Unexpected Cosmology on here or me on his podcast, one or the other, and we can have a good back and forth about his evidences for the Millennial Kingdom too. So a lot in the works, guys, a lot to come. I just thought I'd keep you updated while I've got you all here together now. But yeah, the conversation never ends. That's all I can say. I do want to make some more off the cuff random content for you guys where it's just me talking about my own thoughts. I know I have been trimming my interviews into smaller segments, and I know some of you enjoy that, some of you don't. Um, I'm not gonna lie, it's twofold the reasoning behind that. The number one reason is that I don't have the energy to do much else. Like I said, I'm quite ill and currently going through treatment and getting my blood drained regularly to get my iron ferritin levels down before under toxic organ damaging levels. And as a result, I'm pretty tired and exhausted all the time and feeling pretty sick as my body makes new red blood cells. So to make my life easier during this time, I have been making segments from longer shows that I do on a weekly basis. And the last ones you've seen was from an interview with me and Theron and Bethany, a lovely couple who run a channel called Toad House 7 Homestead. And they've been talking about the Millennial Kingdom for a couple of years, you know what I mean? And they want it as a family, they're trying to figure out a way that maybe they can get or sail north or get as north as possible just to see what's going on. I think people have been making jokes saying they've started another one of those let's sail north cults or something like that, and they're trying to, it's like a scam or something. And I'm like, no, I don't think they're trying to get other people involved necessarily. I think they just want to go on their own. They just want to go see what's going on. You know what I mean? They're not trying to con anybody or start a cult or start some kind of fundraiser or something. They're not doing anything like that. They're just literally, they've just said, yeah, we want to go. We're going to go check it out. Okay, so that's all that is. But I was talking to those two, and yeah, that was great. It was really nice to connect with them. Really lovely, humble couple. Now they've got some strong viewpoints on this. They've really committed to it, and it's really it's good to get that kind of perspective, from these people who have really taken on board what the Bible says about Jesus coming and going already and the little season, and they've taken it to its logical conclusions and are going to go and try and prove it, and that's interesting to me, and I like talking to people like that. It's wonderful. They have helped me connect with a Facebook group actually. which is about the Millennial Kingdom, and it's really fun. The memes on there are fire. They are funny as hell. And I'm I like being on. I've liked traipsing through what I've seen so far. The person who runs that, Lindsay, I think she's just started a YouTube channel or is starting one up. I'm not sure, but maybe I can get a conversation with her as well. She seems to be very knowledgeable on all this stuff, and is always having deep, biblically grounded conversations with people on that in that group on Facebook to try and hash these ideas out and take it to the word. So that seems quite cool. So hopefully I can get a talk with her as well. And also, I don't know if you guys saw the show, but someone randomly got in touch with me called Vinny B, and Vinny's great. I think we're very much of a birds of a feather situation here because he's very much like me. Yeah, I think he sent me a message, showing me, he's been in the game for a while. He's been on these other channels. He's networked with a lot of truthers, and he's been on their podcasts here and there. He's been on a podcast mainly with a Killer Priest, who's an ex Wu Tang Clan rapper, and he's on his podcast all the time. And he showed me all the stuff he's done. He says, I've taken a break for a year from public appearances and I've just been studying the millennial reign and the millennial kingdom. And he says, like, he just wants to find somebody to talk with it about, and he likes my style and he thinks we could have a good conversation. So I got him on, and it was a great conversation. And yeah, Vinny is he's clearly been thinking about these things for a long time, and the feedback for that conversation was really great. I think people really enjoyed listening to Vinny. He's a really nice guy, really well grounded, easy to listen to, laid back, makes it fun, and knowledgeable. So I think I'll be getting Vinny back on as a regular, just to have a bit of a back and forth here and there. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you haven't listened to my talk with Vinny, go and check that out. And I will be releasing segments of it soon on the channel, as I've been doing with all the other ones as well. So yeah, like I said, the first reason, guys, why I'm doing the segment thing is, it's for my own health. I don't have the time or the energy to do full-fledged videos and raise a family and, put food on the table for my wife and child, all the rest of it. So I find this is my best way of still getting content out to you guys, because I know not everybody wants to watch a 2 hour podcast, but some people like the 20-minute segments instead. So it's for them as well. I know a lot of you do stick around for the live shows, and I love that about you guys, and I'm thankful that you're there. But not everybody does, and I know other people appreciate the smaller segments too. So it's to keep everybody happy. And also, I've found smaller segments like that spread further and bring new people to the channel, which is good for everybody. We need to grow these communities, and it's good, and it's just good for business. What can I say? It's a no-brainer. And that's why shorts are so popular, because a lot of people see them and it brings a lot of traffic to people's channels. And I found shorter segments are useful for that too. So that's another reason why I do it. So for my own health, for the health of the channel, and for the benefit of those who don't want to listen to 2 hour long segments. So I suppose there's 3 reasons why I've been doing that. But like I said, I do try and release a random video here and there where I am talking still. I released one not that long ago, didn't I? What was it called? We need to rethink everything in light of this new Millennial Kingdom theory. I think the Millennial Kingdom stuff, it does change everything. Because most conspiracy culture that I've seen over a decade of doing this now, 12 years, it's been hyper focused on tribulation and who will the Antichrist be, who will the beast be, and what's the mark of the beast going to be, and are you seeing the signs of tribulation come to pass, the wars, the famines, the birth pains, all this type of thing. And that's what people have been so hyper focused on in the conspiracy culture for, like, as long as I've been a part of it. That's all the Christians who are involved in the truth movement are talking about. And what if they've been completely wrong this entire time? And we're not waiting for tribulation to happen. In fact, that's the con. What if that is the conspiracy to make us believe Jesus is about to return for his millennial kingdom and tribulation, when the truth is, it's already happened? That would be the greatest deception. The great deception that, if possible, could deceive the very elect. But if that's the case, well, the truth is coming out now, and the elect are not being deceived. Do you understand? Like that is everyone says, "Oh, what's the great deception?" And people are like, it must be the flat Earth or something like that. That was the thing for a while, wasn't it? You know, the great deception. But I think this is greater. You know, the shape of our universe is nothing compared to hiding the savior of all mankind. You know, and and the idea that he might have been on Earth this entire time. You know, in the beloved city, you know, and with the saints in the camp of saints, like, and we've been waiting for him to turn when he's already been here. Just think how great of a deception that has been, and it changes things. It changes how we have to look at events and things unfold now. You know, we already understood about controlled opposition and the Hegelian dialectics, how they played the left and right off of each other. But what if, like, this goes way beyond all of that? This is like the fake battles they put in front of us with the good and the bad and the dark and the light and the black and the white, you know, all these Hegelian dualistic principles that they put in front of us for so long, and trying to get us to pick sides and battle is one thing, sure. But then when you look into Christian theology, most churches and people are waiting for Christ to return and for an absolutely dubious concept of a rapture to happen as well. And everyone's date setting for these things, you know, when really the eye are completely off the ball. Because the genius about this kind of deception is it looks like Christianity is strong and it's growing, and everybody knows what they're waiting for. They're waiting for Jesus to return and take them away from harm's way to, you know, defeat all the sinners, bring plagues and death and destruction upon everything, and then have a wonderful time from then on, and everything's perfect with Jesus, and they get to live with Jesus, you know. And Christianity has grown drastically, and most of the churches that have grown are preaching that eschatology and that type of doctrine. But what if that's the lie? That's the deception. The deception is the Christians have this false sense of security, thinking they are a strong, powerful religion that has the truth, when really they're just like they're a big nothing burger from that respect. Their faith is sure, they have faith in Jesus, but they're way off in terms of knowing where they are and what's coming next. And the issue is, if what does start to unfold is completely out of left field from what they believe should be coming, they may lose their faith. You know, it may be a huge loss for them. It may be a huge problem when tribulation doesn't unfold, but instead something completely unexpected happens that they cannot square with that part of the biblical story. You know, it's what a great subtle deception that truly is. You know, to give the illusion that Christianity is strong and on the right path when really it was weak and completely debased. Like, that's exactly how the devil would do it. Yeah, that's exactly how we would do it. So yeah, we need to rethink everything. All conspiracy events from now on, we need to consider it in light of this new perspective, and we need to then figure out what the real agenda is behind these events based from this angle instead. You know, and I'm not saying don't consider it from the other angle of tribulation that is about, because maybe tribulation is about to unfold. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you're not considering the other point too, you may miss it when it actually comes to pass. You may completely be deceived. You know, it changes so much, and maybe I have to go back and reevaluate all the past events that we used to decode and break down and look for the symbolism in. Maybe we need to rewatch, for example, I don't know, the London. Do you remember the London 2012 Olympic ceremony? And everyone was decoding the Olympics 2012 opening ceremonies for the symbolism. But what if we look at it back now with the millennial reign perspective? Do you reckon there'll be a lot more information there that we missed the first time round? Maybe a lot more mocking of us perhaps is hidden in there because we are so stupid and ignorant to the truth. We don't even know when we are, never mind who we are. Maybe we need to go back in time and reevaluate all of these major events that happened and decode them afresh from this perspective, because this is a new perspective. This millennial kingdom thing perhaps is the next big thing. You know, like I said, I've seen it unfold, and after 9/11, it was relatively quiet for 10 years. People were just getting, a lot of belief systems were growing. Then it was the build up to the 2012 end of the world stuff that everyone was going into, and then people were like decoding past events after 9/11, weren't they? They were looking back at like Princess Diana's assassination and death, and people just starting to wake up, and starting to wonder like, what have we been lied to about? Going back in time and looking at old things and decoding them through a new lens with this new understanding of occult symbolism. And then the end of the world phenomena came and passed and nothing happened, and then it was relatively quiet. Then bam, flat earth turned up. And that was the big thing from like 2012 to like 2014, 16. And then Mandela effect turned up, and that was the next big event. That was the next big topic everyone was talking about in the conspiracy culture. And then 2018, 19 rolls by, boom, there was Tartaria. That was the big thing that everybody was talking about in the conspiracy culture, taking it by storm. And for every one of these topics I've mentioned, dedicated channels turn up that focus on nothing but that one topic. And then controlled opposition turns up, and then shills turn up, as well as people who are really dedicated and truthful for it. Plateau channels turn up that just don't grow but stay horizontal with their perspectives and viewpoints. And now it's a reinterpretation of Tartaria. It's Millennial Kingdom come and gone. That's the next big topic. That's the thing right now in which conspiracy culture is moving and going. And I've been watching this for years, okay? And I've seen these movements come and go. This could be another one of those. Who know? God only knows what's coming after this one. But this, out of all the topics I've seen throughout the past, 12 years, 20 years, this one seems to be a different flavor to the rest. This feels like the one we shouldn't have figured out, you know, um, and it's bizarre. It's um, it's a paradigm shifter, you know, and it can't be ignored. This is staying around whether you like it or not. And I'm not saying I'm trying to become another channel that only focuses on one topic. That's not me. I've never been a one-trick pony. I'm a demonologist, spiritual warfare type of guy. I'm a Nephilim type of guy. I'm a biblical history type of guy. And now I've come upon this theory. I can't leave it because my channel is called Understanding Conspiracy. The whole point of this channel from its very inception was to examine the conspiracy culture as a whole. That includes every single topic discussed within it and every single faction within the culture discussing different topics to try and get a better understanding of just what it is we believe, what we are as a movement, where we're going, and our best practices and best ways to tell the truth to people from whatever faction you're in. Now, obviously, I lean and I am heavily entrenched in it seems like the biblical perspective is the true way of interpreting all of this. That's where I found the real truth. But that doesn't mean there still isn't a conspiracy culture with multiple factions and multiple topics going on all at once, all of them claiming to have the ultimate truth. So I am always looking at all of this stuff with that lens too. But I also like to speculate about all the topics that come my way to their logical conclusions. And so far, this one doesn't have many holes. Okay. And the only arguments that I've really got from people are futurist dispensationalist thinkers who say Jesus Christ can't be here yet because everything would be sunshine and rainbows and perfect and to be a new heaven and earth. And they've completely ignored and forgot that once the millennial kingdom has come and gone, there's a short season where Satan turns up. It's like they don't even know that exists. And they think once tribulation has happened, Jesus comes back, all the sinners go to hell, there's a new heaven and earth, and everything's perfect and sunshine and lollipops for eternity. That is not what the book says. The book says there's tribulation, yes. The book says Jesus returns, yes. And, he rules with a rod of iron for 1,000 years. And then he goes to the camp of saints, and Satan rules for a little season at the end of those 1,000 years. And only then, once the war has begun of Gog and Magog, and the people who made war are utterly destroyed by fire, is their final judgment. And then, after judgment, is there a new heaven and new earth? But people who make arguments against me don't know that. They don't mention that. They think tribulation happens, Jesus turns up, everything's perfect for eternity, done and dusted, end of story. That is not the story. And why so many people believe that that's the story? Well, that's the deception, isn't it? They haven't read the book. They just listen to what they've been told by wolf in sheep's clothing, no doubt, by bad actors, masons who run false churches with bad eschatology. That seems to be what's been going on. And yeah, I've yet to hear a convincing argument that actually can discredit this angle effectively enough. All right, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everything's ironed out with this theory yet. Not at all. But it doesn't take much speculation to find a decent enough answer to some of the shallow um what's the word I'm looking for? Objections that people throw my way. Most of their objections are based in denial. They're not based in them actually knowing what's going on or understanding what the book says. It's most of people's objections are based in I don't want that to be true. And like I said, one of the major arguments I always keep getting thrown at me is more like it's something along the lines of like this is the great deception. People like you are spreading lies that are going to ruin people's faith and therefore they won't be saved after tribulation and Jesus won't accept them into the kingdom. What you're doing right now is of Satan leading people away from Jesus. What you're doing right now will be the great deception. And I'm like, this is not a great deception. 0.00001% of Christians maybe have heard of this theory. Maybe. Okay? That's a pretty crap deception, isn't it? Like if this is the great deception, yeah, this is a poor effort. A poor effort. It's surely the greatest deception would be what the majority of Christians are believing during that time, right? And the majority of Christians believe that tribulation is about to come and pass, and Jesus' reign is about to begin. That sounds like a great deception to me if it's not true. If we're actually past it all, that would be the great deception. Okay? And that interesting point where it says could deceive the very elect if possible tells me that you can easily see through it if you think clearly about things first and actually read the book. Because the book says clearly, I come quickly. Those who pierced me will see me coming in my kingdom in the clouds. People standing here will not die before I turn back up and you see the glory of God coming in with his kingdom. And people argue, no, 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 no. He was talking about he's gonna be crucified and then come back from the dead, and those people will see him. And it's like that's not what he says. He says coming in the clouds with the glory of his kingdom, not coming back from the dead 3 days later and people happen to find him. You know, like that's not what it says. It's quite clear coming in with his kingdom in the clouds. You know, and this is the thing. He's telling people, move from city to city when you get persecuted, and you won't have made it through all the cities, of Israel before you find me. You won't make it through all the cities before I return and come back in my kingdom. And I don't know many people who are moving from city to city over a 3-day period. You get what I mean? Like, no matter what you do, you cannot, unless you do some insane mental gymnastics and massively overcomplicate the words written down with fanciful conjecture and just wild nonsense. You cannot interpret what Jesus is saying in his own words in any other way than he was talking to the people around him and he was being deadly serious about, I am coming back immediately. Not in 2,000 years. Okay. And this is what I mean. So the very elect, people who are actually paying attention, I'm not saying church leaders, but people who are actually serious about Jesus and God and trying to understand the truth, I think is what the elect means. Well, they won't be deceived. They can easily see what's going on around them. Their eyes are open. They have the Holy Spirit and discernment, etc., etc. But there'll be many, and who Jesus will turn away and say, I never really knew you, and I don't think you really knew me. And that's a powerful issue, isn't it? And it's like, what must people have gotten wrong for him to think that? You know, these are big questions. You know, I understand how scary they are for a lot of Christians out there. I really do, and I guess I have the benefit that I wasn't raised under a particular eschatological dogma. I've always been open to hear it all and figure it out for myself without the pressures of a society or church telling me what I should believe. And I know not everybody's been given that privilege in a sense. So I understand it's very difficult for people to to hear this. I understand. I do. I do. Anyway, I think my wife's telling people apologizing on my behalf for ranting for too long, and I'm really sorry about this. I do tend to get passionate about the things I talk about and go on for a long time. So now I'm actually looking at the chat. I'm going to try and do this more live. If you have asked a question already, or ask it again now so I can see it. Okay. If anyone has any ideas or questions about any of these topics, it doesn't have to be about the Millennial Kingdom. It could be about anything at all. Just bring it up now, and I'll try and get to your questions, guys. But yeah, I apologize. I know I go on. I know I go on a bit, guys. It's just one thing I can do. But like I said, yeah, there's no point spamming. It might be better just to time your questions. Like now, for example, I'm looking at the chat. I am waiting for questions. So bring them in, guys. Let me know what you want me to talk about or bring up or speculate on, and I'll see what I can do for you. Okay. Um, I recommend Travis Drum, says Gypsy Lil. Fair enough. I'll look into it. Um, he absolutely is a great informed speaker, and to be honest, I didn't even ponder I'd possibly even interrupt had he did see. So my bad with that. Okay, yeah, sorry. Like I said, guys, no, look, it's me. I know what I'm like. But yeah, this is a Q&A, so let's stick to the point. Any questions, anybody? Ask a question. Let me know what you think, and I'll share my thoughts and feelings on whatever it is. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not an expert on much. I'm a bit of I have a bit of knowledge about most things. So let's see what's going on. What are we talking about? Um, Brian Rose, I do believe Jesus did return. That being said, how would this change the rapture for us? I think God has shown me the way. Faith equals transfiguration. Well, from what I've understood, the rapture doctrine didn't even exist until the 1800s. I am pretty sure it says in the Bible that people in Judea need to flee to the mountains when these things happen. His people weren't taken up into the sky. He's telling them to flee. He doesn't say that they're going to get whisked away into a special place where they will be out of harm's way. I'm pretty sure he's telling his people to go to a place themselves where they'll be out of harm's way. I don't think the rapture's a real doctrine. I think it's a deception. I really do. Um, and even then, if there was a rapture, it's already happened. It has nothing to do with our time and day. Right now, there's no rapture coming. That's probably what I'd say about that. We can have faith, we can be born again, be made anew in Christ, and we can have our addictions and our desires and wants and needs change just like that and become a new person. And we can do everything we can from then on to better people's lives and our own lives and our loved ones' lives around us by following the law as it's written on our hearts, to the best of our ability with the grace to be forgiven for our sins when we slip up and make mistakes, and understand that it's not by our righteousness and our how well we follow the law that gets us saved, but it's us giving ourselves over to Jesus Christ, understanding that we're utterly sinful and need a savior, and that saves us. It's being humble in that, and that as long as you have that, that's all we can have in these last days. The final judgment is coming, whenever that is. No man still knows the day or the hour. How long's a little season? Well, how long's a piece of string? I think I finally understand that phrase. A little season is as long as it takes, I think. I'm not a date setter. I'm not here to tell you that, well, if it was 70 AD and 1,000 years has been added to it, then really we're in 1437 AD or something, and therefore 2016, it's all going to come to an end. I'm not going to do that. Because I don't know. I don't even know what time we are in terms of our time scale. I mean, think about it. The calendar we use is completely off. We have to add a day to it every 4 years, and there's daylight savings where we have to change the hour just to match the thing. When it used to be didn't it used to be a 13-month calendar with didn't everything used to be based on 13 and by the moon cycles? Which, by the way, based on the Chinese New Year and the cycles of the moon, isn't the year of the dragon now? Like, that says a lot, doesn't it, symbolically? The year of the dragon. We all know what dragons are, the seraphim angels. And the year of the seraphim angel is upon us, whatever that means. Maybe the Nephilim are about to return and their offspring are about to come back or something. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent there, but yeah, think about the mix of calendars, the skewing of timelines, the falsifying of events and dates that never actually happened, the the con the conflagration of events into two separate events when we were talking about the same event separated by 400 years supposedly. We don't know when we are. We don't know, and it'll be foolish of us to set dates. If we start setting dates now, if this theory gets so big, and then suddenly you have channels saying, I know when the Great White Throne Judgment's about to happen. I've seen the signs, I've read the messages in the stars or something, or God told me in a dream that it's going to happen on this date and this time in this year. Prepare yourselves, get your house in order, sell all your stuff, send loads of money to me. These people always turn up saying the same stuff, you know. You may as well give up all your worldly possessions and send them to me now, because the world's going to end on this date. Jesus is coming for final great white throne judgment. Like, we don't want to end up like that. We don't want to become the exact thing that has been running the conspiracy game in the Christian circles for the past decade. Date setters. The worst kind of truther in my eyes. I'm not setting dates. I don't know how long the little season is. I don't know when it began. I don't know. And it's okay. I think some people, especially people in the conspiracy culture, need to learn that it's okay sometimes not to know everything. We can't know some things, okay? And that's okay. You're not even guaranteed tomorrow. None of us are. You don't live based on when everything's going to end. You live each day as though it was your last. You spend it with your loved ones, your family, you grow yourself, you focus on what you enjoy, you nurture your own God-given gifts and talents. You make the life you have a life that was worth living while you've got it. What else is there to do? And just keep faith. And it says quite a lot in the Bible. And people, I was on the Facebook group earlier today, and I think that's where I saw all these quotes where someone was bringing it up, and it's saying, Jesus came that all men should be saved in the end. And I think it's somewhat of a deception of Lucifer and the devil, to make us believe that there are some people who won't be saved in the end. That we're all doomed, no matter what. And if you don't work hard enough, and this is where the whole saved by works and not faith comes into it, and you get a lot of people then, I'm not going to get into this today, by the way, but you get a lot of people who want to put Paul down and say he wasn't a real apostle, in order to get rid of that saved by faith alone thing. But I'm pretty sure it's clear that Christ came that all men should be saved. All of us. And you have to wonder what that meant exactly, because I don't think he's a liar. I'm going to take him at his word that he means all men and women. Okay, biblical man literally means mankind, not just men. Not just people with penises. This is going to be all men and women and children, every human, all men, are going to be saved in the end. I don't think he intends for not one will be lost. Not one sheep will be left behind. I think that's the point of the good news. Um, but there are a lot of people out there who want to tell you you're going to burn in hell. You weren't good enough. You rejected the savior. All these type of things. And I think this is where we can get conspiratorial to try and explain this. It's possible the whole wheat and tares analogy was trying to tell us that maybe there are people among us who aren't men. They aren't human. They aren't actually people as though they appear to be. And this is where the whole NPC thing came into it, and I'm not looking to dehumanize or point fingers or try and figure out who those people are, because as it's made clear, you cannot tell the difference till the harvest, and it's up for the reaper to decide what is and isn't a wheat or a tare. It's not up for us to do that. I'm not looking to attack anybody or point fingers or accuse anybody of being not human, because I don't know. How could one know such a thing? It's up. But when the final harvest comes at the end of the Great White Throne Judgment, we may see people be thrown into the lake of fire that we thought were people but aren't. There's something else. So call them a serpent seed or something. Call them something else. And I was talking to Theron about this, and it seems like maybe these are literally human beings that live day to day among us, and they know they're not human as well. They actually know it, and they know they're playing a game against all of the rest of humanity, and they have to pretend to be human to fit in, but they're all part of the same agenda. And it's like They Live, for example. That film may have been a documentary. There may be a parallel society alongside mankind that are all in on it, and they're not human beings, and we can't recognize them unless we have the eyes, some magic goggles that make us see into that dimension that makes us realize what they truly are. And those goggles don't exist, unfortunately. We'll never actually know what they truly are. And maybe this is how we can square that. The truly evil people throughout history who really did the most heinous of things, you know, and rejected God till the end and did everything possible against God till the very end. Maybe those people will be cast into the lake of fire. Maybe, I don't know. Again, this is pure conjecture, but I think the wheat and the tares parable makes it clear that side by side, growing with us, is something that isn't us, but man. Those who can be saved, those who are not a part of this serpent seed of Cain or corruption of the Nephilim fallen angels or whatever it is, real humans, we will all be saved. Not one of us will be thrown to the fire, in the end with the tares. Not one of us. So maybe we can have faith and understand that he's not a liar when he says that. So maybe maybe you have loved ones who have not come to Christ, maybe you struggle with that daily. Maybe you have people in your life, parents, be it parents, siblings, spouses, children, who have never really thought about these things or come to it, and maybe you're quite new to it yourself. You know what I mean? So you don't really understand how to communicate it with them because you understand where they're coming from. That it's difficult to understand these concepts because none of you were raised with it, for example. But if they are human, I don't think they're going to get left behind. I really don't. I don't think in the end they're destined for eternal damnation and torture and burning, like so many want to tell you in these churches today. I think Jesus is being very clear when he says all men. It was Adam through his one mistake that damned all of mankind, and it's Jesus was one man who's come to save all mankind. I think that's what's going on. You know. But again, what do I know? I'm not a preacher, so don't take what I'm saying at face value, as though it's the gospel truth. But I just have it just seems that way from the words written down in the Bible, not just my feelings. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of deception in this world that wants people to corrupt themselves, be it genetically or spiritually or physically. Um, but even that, I think God can make all things new again. So regardless of whether or not you've you've through ignorance done something like that to yourself. So even then, don't let anybody tell you you're too far gone and you can't be saved. That's the accuser. That's something the accuser would do. It's too late for you. There's no going back now. you know, you're doomed. Just give up. That doesn't sound. That sounds like something Satan would say. That doesn't sound like the good news that Jesus sent us. That as long as we believe he is who he says he was, and that he was the Son of God who came and paid the price for our sins. As long as you believe that with all your hearts and all your soul and all your mind, then you'll be saved. It's simple, really. It's a simple message. You know. Anyway, back to the chat. The controllers are deceiving us, RE Revelations, Millennial Reign, and a Little Season. What of the Mark of the Beast? Is this still a threat to us? Well, technically, if the Millennial Kingdom has come and gone, no. No, it's not. It was for a specific people at a specific time. Likely though, I don't know for certain, but likely it was the money of Rome, forced, and a mark that was forced on the people of Israel at the time, living through that after Christ had left, before his return. Um, so no, it's not relevant to us. But I do believe in this time of the little season, Satan will be making many forms of marks of the beast, which all could be interpreted as a mark of the beast type thing, like RFID chips, contactless payment, phones, for example, smartphones. Neuralink right now, for example, could be a good example. It's literally in the head. Augmented reality stuff, goggles. You could say AI is the image of the beast. Technology could be said to be the mark of the beast today. The thing is, then I think at first, the first time round, when Revelation was first written by John in prison, I think it was done through money. Okay. After the little season is over, when Satan is released, and now the Bible is a thing, a book is a thing that has it all mapped out clearly. I think now what he's done, he's read the script and he's made multiple things that could be interpreted as the mark of the beast in order to deceive us as a peoples living in this time now into thinking we are back then again, that we are in tribulation period again. We are in the time before Jesus comes. Because that's how he would do it, right? He would have to do things to make it look like, by the script written by John, that Jesus is about to return. And the mark of the beast is one of those things. So I believe right now there are many faux marks of the beast around, multiple versions of them. And I think there will be continuously a cycle of marks of the beast coming and going. You know, there's that system as well as the scores that China does, for example. That's another mark of the beast ideal, isn't it? As smart cities maybe another example of future marks of the beast. I think there'll be an endless cycle of marks of the beast. So we are endlessly believing we are in the pre-tribulation period just before Jesus is about to return and tribulation is about to begin. You know what I mean? And that's the game now. And that's what I meant by we have to reinterpret everything from now on. We can't take anything at just face value and assume that means tribulations is now coming to pass because this has happened. A lot of these things are going to be orchestrated because there's a script to follow now. Once Revelation was written, a script was put out into the world which that Satan is now using to his advantage to convince these people in his little season, us, that we are in the wrong time period. And all he has to do, he knows we're reading the book, you see. He knows we're looking for these signs, so he's putting signs out there to emulate a very poor version of what came before, you know? I think that's what's going on now. So that's where I stand on that. That's where I stand on that. For now, in light of this new millennial kingdom theory, I'm always open to see what else is coming. Does anyone realize that preterism was conceived by the Jesuits? I mean, I won't call myself a preterist, so I'm a part of some kind of movement. exactly. I've just interpreted that the millennial kingdom has come and gone based on what the book clearly says, and the evidence is made apparent to us, and the words of Jesus himself. I'm not looking to start a movement and call it a name exactly. And from what I can tell, the preterists believe don't they believe that the kingdom the kingdom is spiritual. Even they don't believe there'll be a physical one on earth, and it's what I mean. It's all over the place. These aren't new ideas necessarily, but I don't think they've ever really had as much evidence to back them up until today. And that's the difference with the advent of the internet and the connection of all things. And again, that's another thing. It wasn't one of the signs is that people will run to and fro and knowledge will increase. Well, the internet's a good example of that, which is another thing that's making people think that we're living the end times again and in tribulation times again. But I think this has already happened before. I don't think these technologies are new. I think there's nothing new under the sun. And I think it's possible, that there may have been some kind of interconnectivity of all things, something similar or akin to the internet through the use of electrical waves in the ether or something during, before, or after the time of Christ and tribulation. And knowledge was already going to and fro even before we had this thing we call the internet today. I don't think there's any. I don't think we can take anything at face value or for granted. I really don't. I mean, there's like statues of women of women carved into Hindu temples holding smartphones. You know what I mean? There's like helicopters in Sumerian bloody tablets. the stuff the stuff we cannot comprehend how that have already come and gone. Um, I don't think what we've got today is as advanced and brand new as we think it is. So just because we have the internet today and we think we're so smart does not necessarily mean that that's where we are in time. And Ecclesiastes, I think, tried to make that clear. Um, Sorry guys, I'm just getting some messages through on my phone. Let me quickly check this. I do believe my wife's telling me that Don has asked a message about Elon Musk and the angelic next pope are actually Samael and Nunamir or Michael, timeless time traveling arms of the infinite Christ creator, An and El. I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question at all. I don't think Elon Musk is some hidden savior of any kind or a reincarnation of a particular angel, if that's what you're saying. Um, I have no idea what you're on about. So what's the infinite Christ creator? What's the timeless time traveling arms of the infinite Christ creator? I have literally never heard that phrase before in my entire life, so I'm sorry. I would not know even where to go with that one, Don. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, Jana Nicole has left a donation. Oh, thank you, Jana. I appreciate that. No question. You can leave a question. I'll answer it for you, Jana. No problem. Um, we're in the year of the dragon now, says Mark. Exactly. Um, Adriano Optimistic Burst says, I'm open to the little season theory, but things like mud flood and churches being impossible with horse and carts don't convince me. Ewar has debunked the impossible architecture claim. Some of the architecture I can see what you're saying. I can. I'm not saying it's impossible that with enough perseverance and manpower and energy and time, horse and buggy people couldn't perhaps build some of the buildings that have been claimed to be Tartarian. But some other buildings, no chance. And I know you're not convinced, and I know Ewar did a backpedal and then went back on his word and started saying, no, actually what I believe is wrong and this stuff is possible. I know he did that, and maybe it is in some cases, not all the cases. Not in the time spans they've told us it took for them to build them. You know, People claim a lot of these buildings. For example, it's not just that like you can look at one building and say, yeah, maybe that one was built by horse and cart people in the 1800s, maybe. But then when you realize that city in the 1800s in America has hundreds of other buildings, all unique and individually designed and spectacular and complex, next to that one building you just broken down and done a debunk on, it's kind of like, how did people who have only just supposedly moved to this country with the bare minimum amount of technology and tools and manpower to mine for the resources of this, how did they build full cities at such a spectacular level so quick? It's you have to look outside of individual cases. It's it really does seem like these enormous complex stone cities were founded and then inhabited, and then the people just said they built them after the fact. You know what I mean? And you then have to explain why the similar styles in architecture across every single continent on Earth. You know, there's questions that need answering there that aren't satisfied by, well, with enough manpower and slavery, anything's possible. It seems like a bit of a cop out to me. It doesn't explain the shared global architectural style. It doesn't explain the ridiculous time spans these things were said to be created in. It doesn't explain the scales of the operations and the supposed manpower that would have actually been available to them by the official narrative. None of it adds up, you know, and it's like, why would they even build these things considering the states they would have been in by supposed true history, you know? um None of it makes any sense. And even then, you know, talking about shared global cultures, and people say it was like Tartaria, for example, that built all these things and that spanned globally. But I know, sorry, I know I'm using the word globe there, by the way, to all you flat earthers. Get off my back, all right? It happens. I'm a human being. We say things, all right? But the earth, shall we say, um, maybe it was the Roman Empire that built all these. Maybe it wasn't the Millennial Kingdom, but maybe they were repurposed for the Millennial Kingdom and weren't necessarily all destroyed. That explains a shared global thing as well. Who knows? But I don't think Tartaria had much to do with it. I think Tartaria was a very distinct group to that Siberian, Russian, China border area, you know. But the shared architectural styles across all these continents needs to be explained better. And there's not much to explain it yet. I mean, don't forget there was the British Empire as well, we're supposedly told. You know, that's, you know, the sun never set on the British Empire type of thing. But we can't take any of these histories at face value, really, can we? We don't actually know what was going on necessarily, and all that happened in the 1800s as well, apparently. You know, in the 1800s, and it's kind of, I think a lot of excuses have been made to explain away these buildings. Oh well, the British turned up there and clearly built these and left, or something like that. You know, and I feel like they're all cop outs to try and explain this shared architectural cultural style everywhere. Um, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that China has buildings built identical in architectural fashion to those built in the North Americas and the South Americas and within Europe and within Africa and within the Middle East, everywhere. Everywhere. Um, it just doesn't make sense. Um, and you know, maybe horse and buggy people did build them, but they weren't like normal humans. Maybe they were perhaps millennial reign people who had more advanced ability than we did, because the precision involved with all of this is intense for horse and buggy people as well. The time and money and effort going into the intricate details is unnecessary for a supposed poor people with, you know, limited manpower supposedly and primitive tools technology compared to today. Why make it so intricate? Surely you would go for a more streamlined approach to it. You know, you would go for a more minimalist, practical approach rather than make it as decorative and intense as possible. Like, why would you waste that? Why would you waste your time? You know, um, yeah, I don't. Again, I understand what you're saying, but I think I'm not as I'm not convinced that there isn't something suspect to all of this as much as you are. Um, There's no yoga in Christianity. That's right, Gabriella. I don't know why you brought that up. That's true. I'll agree with that. Um, if the rapture has already happened, what was the narrative given at the time to explain the mass disappearance? Um, there may not have been a rapture. That could be false doctrine. Like, who's to say there would have been a rapture exactly? Um, do you believe the Bible has been Mandela affected? I'm not even 100% certain where I stand on the Mandela effect. You know, I've been studying it just like everybody else since 2014 when it first appeared. I know everything about it. I understand it. I understand what has and hasn't changed, etc. But I'm not 100% convinced that that's true. I do think it could be an extremely long con that's been played on us in order to get us to doubt our own validity, our own memories and thoughts and feelings and understandings of everything around us. I think it's a mind control tactic, if anything. I'm not 100% certain the Mandela effect is what we think it is. And I think with the internet as well, it's a lot easier to deceive people and change things, and it can be tough, you know. And again, I can apply that logic to every topic. Don't get me wrong, including the Millennial Kingdom as well. Um, I'm not saying they aren't changing things necessarily. Um, but it could be that things haven't physically changed, only our perceptions have changed. This could be a spiritual warfare situation rather than an actual physical warfare situation. It could be that we're looking back at our old Bibles and seeing verses have changed from what we used to see them as, but it could also be the case that it's not that the book has physically changed, it's our ability to see the words on the page have changed because Satan's playing with our minds in some kind of mass technologically inclined spiritual connectivity thing. Maybe this is what chemtrails. Again, I'm just making this up off the top of my head as a random reason, but perhaps, for example, the chemtrails have put technology into our bodies, these microfibers which interact with things such as 5G towers, or let's say any tower or satellites or signals in whatever way, which can then literally make us see things that aren't there, including the way things are spelt or worded in books. So it might be easier for the devil to, rather than actually change the physical hard copy book, it might be easier for him to mess with our brains and make it so we only see something rather than what's actually written. Maybe that's what's actually happened. This is what I mean. I think it's too complex to understand. Far too complex to understand. Um, and I'm not willing to just throw everything out just because people think everything's changed, you know, and some of the things that have changed, I'm not going to lie, they seem pretty trivial on the grand scheme of things. Such bizarre things to change. Like, why does it matter that Berenstain Bears has now become Berenstain Bears, or Febreze no longer has an E on the end? Sorry, it only has one E rather than a double E in the middle. Like, why change that? What it's just so bizarre, isn't it, when you think about these minor trivial changes. Um, I feel like it's more of a mind game being played on us rather than an actual real phenomena. Maybe it's a trick to make us think that God isn't in control. Or maybe it is God in control and he's doing these changes. I don't really know. I think the whatever it is, the issue with the Mandela effect is that it can go on forever and it can get you stuck on it forever. And maybe that's the point. Maybe it is there as a distraction to keep you from ever looking into anything else, perhaps. I don't know. It's it's a complicated one. It's a really complicated one. And I remember when it first happened, I made a video in 2014 with a new age channel called Subtle Infinity, and and we just speculated for like 2 hours about all the quantum physics behind it all and the science behind it all and how time works and how frequency works and vibrations and and we try to hash it out with our quasi scientific new age thoughts, when I was still coming out of my sacred geometric quantum science phase, while I was being saved in like March 2014 when I got saved, and I realized a lot of it was just vain babble and nonsense. And it's not fruitful either. And I felt like in hindsight, looking back on it, it's kind of like a perfect plateau trap to keep people focused on, with enough interesting tidbits here and there, so you can just for eternity find new Mandela effects, and never really leave, never grow, never continue to learn more truth, and endlessly babble and speculate to make yourself sound really smart. Um, they call it like timeline residue and things like that, don't they? But I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think? I don't know. I don't know. Um, I think people have thought too much about the Mandela effect, and I think there are more important things we can focus on. Um, yeah, Ed Davis. Putting wine into bottles makes no sense. It was always been wine skins. New wine cannot break a bottle. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I mean, so what? Like again, I know, you've just said that to me, but like, so what? The gospel's still the same. You know, does knowing that has changed in the Bible change you in your life now? Um, Move on. We live in Satan's little season, a time of deception. Things are gonna get trippy and weird. Um, don't get stuck on these things so you lose your life on it. Which is what I see. I see a lot of that happening. I do. I see a lot of people lose their minds, become obsessive and insane about one particular topic, like the Mandela effect or the flat Earth, and lose all their loved ones and friends and family over it, and never really grow or learn anything else from then on because they think they've found this one thing that's the most important thing ever, and um, become more eclectic in the truther world, and also understand that you still have a life to live, regardless of whether wine skins has been changed to glass bottle or something like that. It's one of those. Fiona's asked a question and left a donation. She says, "Do you think there are humans with a trace of the blood of Cain? If so, could they be descendants of the tribe of Dan? Thoughts on the RH negative conspiracy?" Well, Cain's lineage was supposed to have been supposedly wiped out by the flood, but from what I can tell from the Book of Lamech of Cain, it seems like Namar was the daughter of Lamech, but Lamech from the sixth generation of Cain's lineage, not the Lamech. Was it the father or the grandfather of Noah? Um, it was from Cain's lineage that Namar married Noah. So it's possible that, yes, if that's the case, then it was Cain's great 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 granddaughter, six generations down, um, who mixed with Noah and created his three sons, who then went on with their own wives of origins we're not 100% certain about, I imagine, who went on to then populate the earth after the flood. And we know the Nephilim were there before and after the flood, and the Nephilim were the mix of fallen angels mixed with the daughters of Cain's lineage, the women of Cain. So if they were after the flood too, it's possible that also made it through. So yes, it's highly likely there is a serpentine mixed hybrid race of Cain and fallen angels all slapped together that still exists among us today. But they were probably so watered down and intermingled by now with humanity that it's possible we all may have a trace within us, or they kept it within the family and created their bloodlines. That's probably more likely. Hence why we have the divine right to rule, supposedly, for these kingdoms on the earth, and the 13 Illuminati bloodline families and all that sort of stuff, the Merovingians and the rest. So yeah, it does seem like there is a special blood which lays claim back to Cain among us, who consider themselves the better than humans, right to rule over us sort of people. Um, in terms of RH negative, it's actually been a long time since I looked into all that stuff. I think I need a refresher course to be able to give you any information on that yet, to be honest. Um, you have to remind me because there's the four blood types. There's O, A, B, and AB, isn't there? And then you can either be positive or negative depending on whether you have particular spike proteins attached to those blood molecules. If you are O positive, you can only give to all the positives. So A positive, B positive, AB positive. But you can't give to any negatives. But if you're an O negative, which I think I am, you can give your blood to everybody because you don't have the protein attached. Therefore, you're compatible with everybody. The RH factor, I can't remember what that is. Is the RH factor the protein? Is it a plus? Is that the plus? Or is RH blood type completely separate from all of the other four blood types? Can someone just remind me in the chat now which one it is? It's been so long. It's been so long since I've looked into that. Now, can anybody just quickly give me some information on that if you know which one it is? Is it the protein attached to ordinary blood groups, or is it a brand new type of blood RH that has nothing to do with O, A, B, or AB? Which one is it again? Um, okay, so negative is absence of the RH antigen. Right. Okay. So anyone with a plus next to their blood has the RH factor. Now remind me, is RH factor good or bad? Because I think I've heard both arguments. That is either they are the lineage of Christ's chosen people or they are the offspring of the corrupt Nephilim. Which one is it? Like, which one is it again? So what do people think? Is RH negative good? Sorry, is RH positive good or is it bad? Remind me. Um, are, are people with positive bad guys? Which one is it? Let me know. Like, because I'm sure there's plenty of theories on this. And yeah, let me know. No one got an answer. No one's got an answer. I'm just getting yes or blood transfusions are an abomination or something and whatever. I don't necessarily believe that. But what else is going on? RH factor is not normal. It's a corruption, is what you're saying. Um, has the protein. Okay. I'm O positive. It's ginger blood. What's that mean? um, it can be given to every blood type. It's the original Adamic blood type. What is it? O negative? Is O negative the original blood type, or is R? I don't know. It's, I mean, it gets really, 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 really complicated. So what you're trying to say is that not having the RH is good. Is that what people are saying? It's been years since I've looked into any of this because I kind of got past the whole bloodlines and I think I'm more in the camp of I think we're all a little bit corrupt and I don't think your blood's going to save you in the end. Um, and I don't think we should be looking at people's blood to find out whether or not they're a good person or not. I think that's getting a little bit twisted, to be honest. I think it's a spiritual thing. It's a more of a mental thing, the sin factor. I don't think it's a blood thing necessarily. And I think you can start playing a dangerous game when you start doing the whole "I have special blood" thing. I think you're just asking for either starting cults, uh, gaining god complexes. Believing you have the divine right to rule because your blood is special. All that kind of stuff starts to flow into the conversation when you start talking about blood types. Um, Whatever it is, we're all human. Okay, I think maybe not, but it's not for us to decide who and who isn't a tear, and I don't think we should be going around pointing fingers, lest we be wrong, and leave the harvest to God in the end, not us. I guess that's all I'm trying to say there. RH is red hair Nephilim. Okay. Okay. So anybody who has red hair has the RH factor. Right. Well, I have blonde hair. I know it doesn't look like it in the videos sometimes when I'm under an orange light, but my hair is actually like a golden, dark, ashy blonde. My eyebrows are white. My beard is orange. Okay, so I do have a slightly darkish brown orange beard, which I suppose you could call ginger, but my hair isn't ginger. And my eyebrows aren't ginger. My eyelashes are white. You can't even see them unless you get up close and look, but they're there, and there's quite a lot. They're quite thick actually, but you can't see them because they're see-through. Um, so I do have some orange in me because my beard has a hint of orange in it, but I don't have the RH factor. I am negative. So your claim that RH is ginger, therefore Nephilim, is wrong. You see what I'm saying here? I don't think it works like that. I really don't think it works like that. I think it's likely in the DNA, not the blood itself, that determines genetic factors like whether or not you're a descendant of Nephilim or not, or something like that. Um, you're playing a dangerous game by determining somebody's entire humanity based on a finger drip test on a card, on a coagulant card that tells them the blood type. You know what I mean? Um, Stop coping it's ginger. I'm not coping. It's the thing, like if you put me next to an actual ginger person, you realise I'm not actually one of them. Um I don't have red hair. I don't have orange hair on my head. It's actually it literally shines gold in light. Like it's a really dark blonde. I know the camera and the webcam can sometimes maybe make it look kind of ginger, perhaps, but you're only I think you're conflating the two because my beard is like a dark orange. Do you know what I mean? And all you do is just see ginger because I'm pale. But I don't have orange hair on my arms or legs or anywhere else on my body other than my beard. Like all my hair is like either white or golden, except my beard is a dark brown ginger. That's it. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you actually get a picture of me and don't change the saturation levels or do any editing or anything like that, you'll see it. My wife is always getting really crazy about this, and she's taking pictures of my hair, and she's like, "I'm just gonna send them a picture of your hair, like." You can clearly see it's like yellowy golden, like brown. It's not ginger, but I'm not even strawberry blonde. I use that joke sometimes as like actually I'm strawberry blonde. You know when people call me ginger, but I'm not even that. Like there's actually no orange or red in my head hair anywhere. It just doesn't exist. Like there's something to do with very low light, poor quality cameras that do, I suppose, give a hint of that, but you don't see it with your naked eyes, like in person. So I don't know. What does Paralysis by Analysis says? I have red in my beard. I guess I'm a smidge Nephilim. Like, no, I don't think so. I don't think it works like that. I really don't think it works like that. That's what a Nephilim would say, says no consent. It is, isn't it? That's exactly what a Nephilim would say. Yeah, you can't win. You cannot win. Oh, the latest one that I'm hearing. So I've been accused of many things over the years, and as the channel grows, it keeps going. I've been accused of being a lizard person with my reptilian eyes, and from really low quality um, footage recorded of a screen from the Nokia 3310 camera or something like that, the Motorola Razr camera. They have then posted that video, slowed it down, and said, "Look, his teeth are sharp here, and he's got reptilian eyes. He's one of them." I've had that done to me. Um, I've been accused of all sorts of things. A Gnostic shill or a hidden reptilian, a Nephilim creature, and the latest one is apparently now I am an androgyne female skeleton, sex inverted monster. That's another one I'm hearing now. And it's kind of like the funny thing about that kind of claim is it's like I literally cannot prove them otherwise unless I get naked and physically expose my genitals on the camera. That's the only way they would ever even be close to satisfied. And someone joked saying they would just say it was surgery. They still wouldn't be satisfied as enough evidence to prove otherwise. Um, I've been accused of everything under the sun, including being a Nephilim, being a reptilian person, and now apparently I'm an inverted sex androgyne female skeleton monster. Like, what am I supposed to do? When you start getting kind of flack like that, all I can really do is laugh because it's kind of like it must be based out of some kind of either weird jealousy because they just don't like me or something and they're upset that my channel's growing and theirs isn't or something, or it's literal lunacy, like they have lost their minds and they're shill hunting, looking for a shill under every rock, and it's basically their entire life and personality is doing that, or I can only think that they're just paid agents out there to try and just ruffle people's feathers, detract people away from watching my work, or trying to get under my skin in some way and get in my head. I don't know. But all I can do is laugh. All I can do is laugh at that type of stuff. But yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When people start leaving those type of stupid comments, I just get rid of them and hide them from my channel now. And it I don't have time for that. I'm all for people disagreeing with theories and ideas and things I talk about. Fair enough. Whatever. That's freedom of speech. Say what you want. Share your opinion. I'm not going to stifle you and remove you and censor you if you just disagree with me about an idea. Because I don't take it personally, because I am not my ideas. you I'm a person separate. I can separate myself from ideas and think about them separate from myself. But when you start accusing me and my family of being inhuman and something else, I'm going to get rid of you because that kind of talk leads nowhere good. And I don't need that. No one needs that. Okay, that's just stupid. It's just the highest levels of stupidity I can ever imagine. So I just get rid of it. If anyone's wondering, by the way. AB Rams Killer 41 left a super chat. They say, "Love the work. Keep it up, brother. Want to recommend the channel Hidden Truth, Hidden Truth. Has some real gems on there. God bless and keep on going." Well, thanks. Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll definitely look into that for you. Yeah, no problem. If anyone ever wants to recommend any channels to me, just leave a comment and say, go check out this YouTube channel. Sometimes if you leave links or do say, check this out, YouTube will automatically hide your comment because it thinks it's spam. Okay. But I usually do eventually, maybe not straight away, maybe a day or two later, I get it in my studio on YouTube and it says hidden comments and I can look at them and if it's a genuine, if it's not spam, I can click approve. You know what I mean? So if it doesn't come through straight away, it will eventually. But if you have any channels you want to recommend, like Hidden Truth, just let me know, guys, and I'll go and check them out. I'm always looking for more people to communicate with and network with on any topic and anything. I'm I'm a member of the community, and I like to go and meet other people. My wife is there saying it's an insult to my marriage. Someone joked actually when I shared some of the comments in the Telegram group that people send me. Um, Someone joked like because I said, well, I'm gonna have to tell this to my wife and son. Clearly I've been living a lie. I'm actually a woman. And they said, well, what if your wife is actually a man and you're actually a woman and you're the one who gave birth to your son? Like, oh yeah, I literally can't win, can I? And my response was, don't say that to my wife because she does not stop going on about how she had to give birth and using it against me at every given opportunity. It's like, don't take that away from my wife. Like, she suffered to bring that child into the world, and now you're saying no, she didn't even do that. You know, I suffered apparently. That's not fair. That's not fair. She worked really. She went through hell to bring that child into this world. You know, and God bless her for it. And we're not taking that away from my wife. All right, no chance. Um, what else have we got going on here? Uh, Paralysis by analysis. Could you please check to see if my super chat went through? Um, Sorry, paralysis. I haven't seen the super chat on my end. It usually comes up at the top. But it's possible I may have missed it. Let me just check myself on. I've got to go to the actual YouTube because all my messages are coming through third-party software. So I've just got to go actually into YouTube and check on there instead in the studio, and it'll tell me if it came through or not. I'll let you know. Just let me check. Content live. Click on that. Create. Go live. Manage. There it is. Sorry, I could go through loads of hoops to get to it, and it should tell me any super chats. Um, it did. Sorry, it did. It came through. Yeah. Sorry, paralysis. Um, I've got it here. $5. It says, "What do you think of brilliant composers such as Bach and Palestrina being musicians from the millennial reign? Great content as always." Yeah. You know what? I did hear people mention that in a recent talk I was listening to. You know, a lot of these classical musicians who had just these virtuoso musicians from the age of like 11 could have perfect pitch and create huge masterpieces just overnight. And it's like, what was going on here exactly? Like, how was this happening? And there was just all of these virtuosos just popping up all over the place in, like, the Victorian periods and the Georgian periods. And it's kind of, you know what, I think there might be something to it. I think if people used to like tune the organs in a cathedral, and to do that, they would literally just drop a stick in the center of the cathedral, at the cross section of the cathedral. And from the way the sound would reverberate through the room, they would understand how to tune a pipe organ. And it's kind of like, can you actually understand how incredibly complex and how much of a divine ability and connection to sound you would have to be able to easily do that with perfect pitch? Like, it just baffles the mind. And it's like, nobody does that today. Nobody has the ability to do such a thing like that today. That is just not the case. But they're the type of stories you hear, and it's kind of these pipe organs that are around that have been tuned to perfection. It's kind of like we struggle to barely be able to understand how they are built today. And we don't really build them today to a standard that they were once built. I'm not saying pipe organs we can't make them. It's saying it's very difficult, it's very time consuming, and the scale in which some of these old ones were built and integrated into these cathedrals and these buildings is just baffling. Absolutely baffling. So I agree. I do think there's something to be said for these amazing composers of the day creating these incredibly complex uh, pieces of music that tells stories without words, and that speak to us on such a primal gut level. And I love classical music. I'm very much. Uh, I'm not saying I'm an expert on the names of the artists necessarily, but I have a huge collection and a playlist of select pieces, that I just love listening to. And yeah, I prefer it more than modern music because it isn't trying to send me a message or indoctrinate me with words. And there's something about that, and I do feel like a lot of these classical pieces say a lot more without words, and this it's art, it's true art, and you would think, wouldn't you, during the time of the millennial reign, when you have all this time and this connection to the divine, which, being more of a perfected type of human, especially being a saint, you know what I mean, or having longevity in life during the millennial reign, living for longer, you would have more time and more of an ability and an attunement to artistic endeavor and skill, wouldn't you? Your innate talents would be amplified tenfold being somebody alive during this time, and it can hardly be surprising that there were so many incredibly talented musicians around during this time period. Yeah, perhaps we can only speculate on such things, but yes, perhaps I agree with you. And yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Sorry, let me just bring the right chat back up there. I think I'm on the wrong one. There it is. Right, so we're back anyway. I hope that little spiel it was satisfying for you there, paralysis. I hope that was enough. Um, our time and attention is currency. Okay. Oh, it's like Theron's here. Theron and maybe Bethany's there too. I'm not sure. Good to see you. Mandela effect idea allows people to be free from an ultimate truth. If God allowed that, it wouldn't be fair. Interesting. That's a good viewpoint, Theron. Thanks for bringing that in. Yeah, the Mandela effect is a really tough one to talk about. Maybe I should do a full episode on it, a show on it, and just try and get all the predominant theories and ideas together on what is going on there to see if we can't hash out an ultimate truth on the situation and a purpose behind it all. I'm not saying I'll have the answer, but it might be good to reevaluate it in light of new information, perhaps. But it's been done to death, hasn't it? The man, I was so sick of Mandela effect stuff after like a year of it being a thing. I'm not sure if I want to go back there anymore. I really don't. Um, each organ tube is tuned to your internal organs for healing sound vibrations, light, and healing. So I think so. I think a lot of these things which have been repurposed today, such as a cathedral, for example, as a place of worship for the Catholic Church, I don't. I think its original purpose wasn't for worship. I think, like I said, it may have been a healing center of some kind or an energy nodule center for the surrounding city. You know what I mean? It's like I think they had a different purpose involving sound and frequency for sure. Um, twerking is the height of human art. The pinnacle, the peak. It can't get any better than this, right? This is it now. We've reached it. Um, Irk the psychoactivist has just asked with a super chat. Thanks for the work, Paul. And they live glasses do sort of exist. Check out military red night vision goggles in Vietnam. Exposed flying demons made soldiers go insane. A lesser version is available for retail to the public. Interesting, yeah. I believe they switched to green at night vision after that, didn't they? Because that kind of solved the issue of people seeing demons as soon as they activated their red night vision. What an absolutely terrifying thought. But I get what you're saying there. But that being the case, maybe red infrared night vision goggles can give us visions into the spirit realm, perhaps. Okay. I'm not saying that is or isn't the case. I've never worn the glasses, the goggles, I don't know. But if that is the case, does that mean when you look at a human being who may possibly be a tear, do you see a demon instead of a human? Or would they still look human because you can't tell the difference, spiritual or physical, until the very end? You know what I mean? I think that's a different thing to the they live glasses. Because I think every human might have a demon in them if they aren't saved necessarily or filled with the Holy Spirit, or even if they are. I'm not saying Christians might be able to be demonized to some level. Who knows? How deep and dark that can go. But just because somebody may have a demonic essence to them with those goggles on doesn't necessarily mean they're a tear. It could just mean they're a heavily demonized human. So we have to be careful with that one. But that's still an interesting tale. I've heard that story before. Maybe I'll have to do my own video on it just for posterity. But yeah, interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Um, no one needs that, amen. Yeah. Sorry, guys, the chat's just kind of getting away from me there. How long have we been talking for? Almost 2 hours. So I'll go for another 15 minutes, guys, and we'll call it a night. So make sure to get any questions in now while I've caught up to the end of the chat. If anyone wants to ask anything, ask away. I'd love to see a collab with Understanding Conspiracy and J Dreamer Z discussing that theory. Yeah, I like the guy who runs J Dreamers. Is his name Jamie? Is that his name? I can't remember. But yeah, I used to listen to him a couple of years ago quite a lot about his phantazoids and the pole reversal theory, the eyeball Earth shape theory, the waters above, and the plasma apocalypse and all that stuff. Yeah, I know about it all. And the zombies, when people having superpowers during the red and the blue shifts, it's different each time. Um, yeah, it was fascinating. Definitely a fascinating take and everything, and his lens is an interesting one. If you slap his glasses on and see the world through his lenses, I can see how a lot of things may match up to it. But this is the thing. I suppose that's what a lot of these theories and worldview answers are, aren't they? Like Millennial Kingdom or Tartaria or Mandela Effect or Flat Earth or the Plasma Apocalypse or whatever it is. They're kind of like it's kind of like putting on a particular lens and seeing the world through that. And with every one, things match up. So I'm not saying I 100% agree with Jay Dreamer's interpretation of eschatology and cyclical end times events and pole reversals, and but I understand his is an interesting way of perceiving those events. But I'm not saying he's 100% got it. But I like his work and I like his style and I like how open and he's a speculator like me. So I think we could have a really good conversation, to be honest. Yeah, and I'm open for him to explain his idea to me more. Certainly. His name is Jay. Is it okay? Is it Jason? And he calls himself Jay. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, maybe one day. Who knows? I'm open to that. I'm open to a bit of a collaboration. Um, yeah, absolutely. I think he's coming to a couple of my live shows every now and then and said hi. So he knows who I am. I'm a known entity to him, I think, and he's a known entity to me. So yeah, I'd be happy to have a conversation with him, getting on to share his ideas. Sure thing. Um, why in Revelation does Jesus call himself the David and the great morning star? I am new to the Bible and thought Lucifer was the morning star. Um, Lucifer is a morning star for sure. like, um, they're all sons of God in a sense. The angels are called sons of God. The angels are stars in heavens. There were wandering stars, which are the stars who went on their own cycles and left the first estate. We call them the planets. They were deified as gods because they are gods in a sense. They're angels. Jesus Christ is the Son of God, but the angels are also described as the sons of God. The Elohim, the divine council stuff can get involved with all that as well if you want to look at Michael Heiser's work. But just because Jesus was described as a morning star and so was Lucifer does not mean that they're the same thing. It means they're of the same class or category, I think is what it's more or less saying, divine in nature. Um, Even though I would say Lucifer is a morning star, it often related to Venus, for example. I would say Jesus Christ is the morning star, the true one, and all others are I'd say imitators. you know. So don't take that too literally as though don't conflate the two to think that means Jesus must be Lucifer. That's not what was going on there. But I understand how that can be confusing when you first hear it. But there's been plenty of brilliant videos done about that. Just go and look it up, and it's been explained thousands of times to death, to be honest. But it's certainly one of those early truth or questions you do ask yourself. I understand. Um, Sorry guys, I'm losing the chat's just kind of flailing away. I don't know where I am. There I am. I'm at the end of it now. Um, Ben Shahar is who fell. Lucifer maybe a Nephilim. Yeah, I've heard quite a lot about that. That Lucifer is actually a Nephilim offspring of like I said, Ben Shahar. There's many names actually, isn't there? It's not just Ben Shahar. Um, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I might have to dive into that a bit more. I don't think I know enough about that to give a great breakdown right now, to be honest. But I have heard a lot about that. Maybe the case. It could be that Lucifer's more of a title rather than an actual name of a specific entity. Like Satan, for example, is a title rather than the name of a specific entity as well. It means the adversary, and there have been many adversaries or Satans throughout history, perhaps. Um, Shari Cooker asks a simple question here. Says, I'm finding the topic of the millennial reign super interesting. Thank you for chatting about it. If the millennial reign has happened, where is Jesus now? He is in the camp of saints in the beloved city, which would be Zion, I suppose. The new, I suppose, a earthly kingdom that descended from heaven, a new Jerusalem type situation. And it's speculating where that is, but it's certainly not the geographical location of Jerusalem, which we have been told is what it is today. It seems likely is either in one of the pole regions, the north or south, I have heard, or perhaps is a part of some lands which we do not even know exist beyond our scope of understanding. It depends on what you believe the shape of the Earth is as well. At the end of the day, if it's a flat model, it's possible that from the outer rings of the South Pole, the ice wall, there are more islands and lands that we don't know about. He could be there for all we know. But the most common viewpoint is that he's in the center of the Earth on a flat model biblical cosmological plane, which would imply he is what we call the North Pole, the place where all compasses point to. And what we have been told the North Pole is a lie. It's not a cold, desolate, icy tundra, which melts in the constant state of melting and disappearing and moving. But the North Pole, actually, once you get past the cold barrier, is a warm, temperate, tepid climate with an island in the middle, with four rivers flowing from that island, north, east, south, and west. But there's many old stories about this, which have been claimed to simply be fiction throughout history. People traveling there and experiencing the things there. But who knows? Who really knows? People are trying to find out still. Um, but it does seem like we've been lied to about so much, especially about what is going on in these polar regions, that you do have to wonder. You do have to wonder. When is your next live? Says Cassidy. Tomorrow, I'm going live on a truth therapy session with Vicky Joy Anderson, the author of They Only Come Out at Night. She is a spiritual warfare expert, I would say. She's done a lot of work on shadow entities and shadow people, and demons, demonology, the Nephilim, angels, the spiritual world, things like that. She's very much a student of Michael Heiser in the Divine Council and the way she interprets things and views things, which is great. Um, Again, I'm going to get her on and we're going to have a talk about psychedelics, AI technology, technological advancements, which are all used by people today in order to communicate with or get in touch with or perceive or see the spirit realm. Because in the past it used to be you had to take drugs in order to interact with the spirit realm, but she's going to make a case for the idea that they're actually creating drugs, not drugs, but technologies, which are giving people that ability, so they don't have to take drugs anymore to do it. Very interesting, very interesting. She's even showing me that there's like a herbal supplement that's come out that people are selling, which will it's good for the pineal gland, which will open up your pineal gland, all these type of things. So we're going to get into the demonology, the nephilology, I suppose, the spiritual warfare aspect of things and modern manifestations of that. Hey, it looks like Jay Dreamers is here right now. Yeah, Jay, thanks for joining me. I don't know if you heard what I was just saying there, but someone suggested that we get together and we have a bit of a talk and you can share your plasma apocalypse stuff with me. I'm not going to lie to you, I've been listening to your stuff for years. I haven't listened to your recent videos, I'm not going to lie. I've obviously been doing my own thing, but I was very much there a few years ago when you were telling all your theories and ideas about silicon pillars, pole reversals, the blue shift, the red shift, the phantazoids, the zombie apocalypse, all that sort of stuff. The world tree in the middle, how it's represented in all things. I think the last thing I saw you represented in, or someone showed me, was Fortnite did a full campaign dedicated to the plasma apocalypse. I thought that was hilarious to see as well. But yeah, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for your speculations and ideas. So if you want to come on the channel sometime and have a talk, and we'll talk about your ideas, come on. I'm happy to have you, man. So there you go. There's a formal formal invite to my channel. Maybe if you want, we have an email exchange first and arrange a date. But I'd love to have you on, man, if possible. What else have we got? The meek shall inherit the earth. That's right. What's the true distance of the moon? Well, I don't know, but I assume it's a lot closer than we've been told. Let's put it that way. E is burning. That's right. Look forward to tomorrow's discussion. Yeah, it should be cool, Vicky. Yeah, it should be cool talk with Vicky. I'm looking forward to it. It's always a pleasure to have her on. If you guys don't know, you can go back in time and look at my last talk with Vicky Joy Anderson. We discussed the spirit realm and what is it exactly? How does it work? And how many levels are there to all this, and what can we know exactly about the spirit realm? So that was a good talk, and it was, again, we didn't. I'm not saying we got to many conclusions, but it was certainly a great speculation and hashing out of ideas. And that's what we do here. That's what we do here at Understanding Conspiracy. Oh, brilliant! Jay Jimmers has sent me his email address. I'll get in touch with you, Jay, and we'll arrange a good time, have a nice chat. Um, I've got some weekends in March where I'm available. Actually, that might be a good time for it. I know it's a bit of a time away yet, but I'm pretty booked up until then for the weekends. If you can only do weekends, if maybe you can do a Wednesday, that'll be good. But again, we'll discuss that in the email, and we'll figure something out. So there you go, guys. You heard it from me first. You heard it here first. Me and Jay Dreamers are going to have a bit of a collaboration, and we're going to discuss some of his ideas. How's that sound? We're looking forward to that. I think we're all looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. What are your thoughts on the moon map of the Earth? Says Adriano. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a fun one, definitely. That is one of those perspective shifters. And the moon is literally just some kind of reflection of the Earth below, and that's actually a perfect map of our reality. I'm not gonna lie, that one piqued my interest. It's fascinating for sure. I'm hoping it isn't just one of those those effects where you see things that aren't there, patterns, faces in things that aren't there. I'm hoping it doesn't just come down to. I'm behind. I'm rooting for the theory. I want it to be true. Okay, is what I'm saying. I'm all for that. I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful idea and concept that people are still fleshing out, and the guy, I can't remember the guy's name who originated the idea and brought it to us, but I was there when it first came out, and I was there looking with him. And if it's true, then just next to our realm is a vast amount of land that's way larger than even what we know to exist in terms of available land. And I would be amazed to discover what's going on there if that's true. It's an interesting one, definitely. Definitely an interesting one. Um, Right, guys, I'm coming up to 2 hours now. I'm gonna have to call it a night. I'm getting tired. I didn't even touch my chamomile tea I put into a flask either. I've been talking that much. I guess I just needed a bit of a therapy session myself. Hey, what can I say? That's just the way it is. But yeah, it's been a great talk, guys. I'm sorry if I didn't get to any of your questions. You know what I'm like. I can talk for England. I just keep going and going and going. It is, yeah, I do get ahead of myself sometimes, so I apologise. But there you go. I look forward to that. We've got Vicky Johansson tomorrow. I'm going to organise a chat with Jay Dreamers for the future. Got plenty more things coming up every weekend, especially. There'll be plenty more snippets and clips of previous shows coming up. The odd random little rant from me about topics that just randomly come to my attention. And hopefully, soon enough, I'll have another episode of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns to come as well. we always look forward to those episodes, don't we? Right, guys. So yeah, thanks for listening. Make sure to check out some of the links people are posting right now. If you like what I do, you can support me on Patreon. I'm really thankful for everybody who signed up lately. Honestly, that is one of the best ways to support me and my family. Because if YouTube does one day decide to rip all of this away from me, that is all I will have to rely on afterwards until I can set myself up again somewhere else on a different platform. So it's those kind of things which mean the most to me. So if you do want to support me and make sure, I can continue to do this and feed my family at the same time, because this does take time, please consider becoming a patron. There's loads of extra videos on there, after show chats with some of the content creators who come and join me as well, stuff exclusive only to patrons, so go and check that out. I try to make it worth your while as much as I can. Hours of extra content on there as well. And if you do want to pre-order the book while the option's still available, you can always go to GoFundMe and look at that as well. But yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.